Hello, all. I trust the audio is okay. I'm getting used to this video that's got this one concentration, and everything else is sort of blurry. I don't know how that happened, but anyway, let me ask you: is the sound okay? And is the video all right? Hi, Brian. How you doing? Um, what I thought would be fun to talk about today. Oh, great. Would be if to create, hey David, is to create a holy trinity for the regular guy. In other words, it talk about some watches that are good watches, where they might be, and in a sort of the whole notion of affordable is pretty relative, but we can talk about that too. Hey, Mask, how you doing? Abdul, good to see you. Um, so I've been thinking about what kind of watches we'd put into a regular guy's Holy Trinity, and so far I think I've come up with two, and they would both be from the pre-owned market. Um, this is what I was thinking. Okay, uh, what we would have, these would be watches that were good watches that were they have their own either this is the thing about that they don't have to be in-house movement, but they have to be good movements. Like there are a lot of watches out there with Vaucher movements or with Crenode movements or something like that. So those would count. Uh, my holy trinity for the regular guy would not involve any watches with silicone hairsprings. They can't be adjusted, and I don't know. I mean, that would be my holy trinity. Now, somebody else may have very different ideas on that. So anyway, so let me throw out two that I had in mind, and um, like I said, they'd both be from pre-owned market. Abdul, what does Abdul have? Sin, Nomos. Sin's got these are going to have um, their own manufactured movement. I think Sin would be one that would be using ETAs, and Glashütte original would probably, with some exceptions, with some of the Pano reverse and the Pano inverse, they're going to have the silicone hairsprings. But Nomos would be a great one, I think. Nomos would be right in there for a regular guy one, because you can get a in-house movement, a good watch, and for a reasonable price. And you would, well, I think you'd probably do a lot better on the pre-owned market, because even though they have some that, for MSRP are really good prices. So I would put up Nomos as one of them. Sorry, Abdul, about the other two. The other, so I would add to that some Jaeger-LeCoultre, maybe a master control, one of the older ones that they've dropped or they've redone, and something that you could find on the pre-owned market. Parmigiani Fleurier, that would be another one, I think. Some of the ones from, for example, I think you got a great one, Brian. They have a fantastic chronograph. It's like a $5,000 brand new. And so you could probably find some pretty good buys on that as well. So that could make up three right there. A Nomos, a Nomos, a, uh, a Jaeger-LeCoultre Master Control, and a Parmigiani Metrograph. Those would be three kinds of things. But again, there's something. ETA doesn't use silicones on the movements they make for Breitling. You're right. You're right about that. Well, Breitling isn't owned by Swatch anyway. Yeah, they're not owned by Swatch. That's true. You need to define regular guy for me. PF is pricey now. Now they are, yeah. But see, that's the whole idea, is that you don't have to buy something, go down to an AD and buy one. We're talking about places that will have certain watches that you can find for much better prices than that on the secondary market. So that'll be a thing. Now, regular guy, it's a good question. That's sort of it's a relative one. In terms of a collector, I'm thinking about, if you talk about the current Holy Trinity, and I would say a Patek Philippe, if you're going to keep that in there, that'd have to be before 2009. Anyway, so what else? What are some other ideas you guys have? Chopard LUC, that would be another good candidate, Abdul. I agree. Hi, Jonathan. How you doing? What do you know about Valjoux 23 caliber? Boy, I can't place it, Jonathan, so you got me on that one. You can get a PF Metrograph today for under 6,000 at Watch Outlet. You can, and I bet you could find a much better price than that on the pre-owned market. In fact, any of the older Parmigianis, like the ones I have, you can find great buys on not only on some of the secondary markets, brand new, but you can also find great deals on the pre-owned market. No most Breitling and JLC to regular guy with a budget. Yeah, I'd leave out Breitling. I'll tell you why I'd leave out Breitling. If they were a little more forthcoming about what's in their watches, I'd be all for them. Same thing with IWC and probably some other ones as well. I think that ought to be a criteria, forthcoming with what's in their watches. I think that's important. I mean, why should we have some sort of under the radar, when they advertise, when you see the advertisement for a watch and they have all of the information and it gets with the movement, they say Swiss made. Well, that could be all kinds of things. Chopard Longa. I don't think they got anything for that. Would be a lot of people want to include all Longa and the Holy Trinity. That the current one. I wouldn't mind that. Rolex has a long history of stretching the truth. Yeah, well, they sort of have their own. A lot of the watch companies do. You're right about that, Mask. A lot of them do. They stretch it unbelievably. Jonathan, let's see. Best horology under 10K would be a Chopard LUC. A Breguet 3130. You guys leave those 3130s alone. I want the price to go down. Breguet is awesome. The Tradition Classique. Yeah, here's the thing: is that Swatch is screwing them up. I think a 3130 though would be a great one. That's one that Roth did, that he designed without the silicon in it. I mean, if you want, I don't want to even talk about that. All right, I've said enough. Hey, Amir, I was considering the what? The Amiwatari. It's not cheap though, and I'm sure it's a bit too understated. Could be. Breguet's a pre-swasher. Yeah, I know. Those are good ones. You're right, Mask. You're absolutely right. Roger Dubuis older models. Not a bad. That's another good idea, Abdul. The There are a lot of good buys on their Excaliburs and on their Easy Divers. They've been going up, but I think they're going to be coming down again. There was sort of during the pandemic, people realized, here you can get a watch with a Geneva seal, and so that still means something. Frank Mueller, you know, um, and it's probably not pronounced Frank, but I do it that way. So bear with me on that. Yeah, I think that's another good idea. There's some with Frank Mueller. You got to be really careful because I found one the other day that was beautiful movement that he had done, and I guess I don't know. He has sort of a reputation for sort of liking, sticking his nose in the sugar bowl, so to speak. So, I mean, kabonk. Hi, Eduardo. How you doing? Oris caliber 400 and 111 use silicon balance wheel and a regular hairspring. Oh, really? That's interesting. The thing about here's my bit yet again on the hairspring with a silicon escapement with a silicon balance wheel. There, you can do everything with it that you could do one made out of transitional metals. With a silicon hairspring, you can't. You can't adjust it. Boom. Is it better? Probably is. It's probably better for timekeeping, but so's quartz. So I don't know. I just it sort of takes all the fun out of it. Hey, I got a good deal. I found one way to get a good deal. I've been driven to distraction by importing straps. And anyway, there's this place that most of the bands are like two, three, four, even $500 and up. I think the bands at FP Jorn, when you go to FP Jorn and get a strap, and I think it'll cost you about $800 for a strap, and for a gator strap. Now, what I found out that a lot of them were made by Jean Rousseau. I was talking to the people there, and I've been talking to a guy at FP Jorn, and he said, "Oh, when they didn't have any, so why don't you go over to Jean Rousseau?" But he didn't mention the fact that a lot of the straps for them were made by him. Thing about Jean Rousseau, they're not that bad a price, and they're also Jean Rousseau Paris. ABP Concepts Paris is another one, very good one, very expensive. And this is what drives me nuts. I just got one in the mail today. They sent them from Paris. They somehow always arrive, and you could make them out of dodo bird skin or something, and they come through without a problem. I got this one today. I don't know. Let me see if I can focus it. There it is. This is Python, and it was red and black. And I thought, I wonder what that would look like. And I was sort of checking it out on this just to see what it would look like. Let me see if I can. On this. Whoa. There we go. Boy, it's hard with this new. There it is. It's hard to tell with that. But anyway, it was. They have these. They had them on every now and then. They have a sale, and so and the sales are about one that would normally cost $200 or $300, they got for €75 or something like that. And I'm such a sucker; I always go for it. And then they charge a 38 euro for shipping. And I think that's how they do it. They have they must have things all set up for shipping, but at least I can get any kind of strap I want. And I'm thinking maybe, Abdul, for the future of Larique, if you want a special strap, they might, at least for the U.S., you might have them take care of it. Now they're in France, and so they're part of the EU, and that might solve a lot of problems that they have with cross borders. On the other hand, Switzerland isn't. So anyway, okay. Uh, Hi Ed, how you doing? Master Ultra Thin is so timeless, classic choice. I agree. That's a good one. What do you got, Amir? An idea for a video. Oh, okay. You got me working again. I'm not sure if you already have one. What should I check before buying secondhand watches? How can I check for those? How much price negotiation makes sense? Oh boy. Let me tell you a quick story here. This may help. I don't know if it does or not. Um, when I was in graduate school, I was a typical starving graduate student, like most people were. I used to go, but my parents had some avocado trees up behind their house, and I'd go there and pick avocados, and then go to one of the hippie food places and trade it for lunches and stuff. But anyway, I got a book contract. They needed a book on research methods, and I happened to be in that was one of my areas, and so I had this contract with it, and they sent me all what I thought, for especially for a graduate student. This is back in the '70s. I thought was a fortune, and so I went to this professor who had published a lot of books and so forth, and I asked him. I said, how much is this worth, or how much should I do? He says, whatever you get. The same thing is true, Amir, with negotiating a price. The one I got recently, I think they wanted $100 for it, and I offered 80, and they took it. Other times, there was a one I took a shot at. It was they wanted 15 for it, and I offered 12, and they said no. So what you get with negotiation, I think there are two things that are important about it. Um, if you negotiate a price, you I think, at least is what I try to do. I try to come up with two things: what's reasonable for me, and what the other person isn't likely to reject out of hand. I mean, I had one watch for sale. I got this ridiculous offer. I mean, it was like I forgot what I was asking. I think I was asking about, I don't know, 7 or 8, something like that. And they said, well, we'll give you 1,000 for it. Well, that's not a real offer. And so you sort of figure, well, what would make a difference to you, but not make enough difference to the seller? And it depends. One day I offered 50% of what the guy was asking, and he took it. you know, I think I know why. You have to sort of try to figure out what's going on. Uh, this one that I offered 50% for, they had a metal bracelet, and the metal bracelet, the guy who had it before had taken some links out. I guess he had a very small wrist, and so it would fit like a 6-inch wrist or something like that. Well, mine is about a 7.5, somewhere in that neighborhood. And so I figured, well, a lot of people sort of saw that little wrist thing and said no. Then I realized all I got to do is get another strap for it. So I super lowballed it, and they sent it to me. Other times, this one guy worked on for a whole year, kept back and forth with him, and finally got what I wanted. And so you get these things, and you sort of, if somebody really needs the money like right away, you can you can get lucky and they'll take it. Other times they won't, so there's no hard and fast rule on that. Maybe some of your other guys know, because I think one of the things in relationship to what we're talking about today, in other words, what's a holy trinity for a regular guy, it comes down to what's a regular guy price. And this, of course, varies all over the place. But we'll say, for the sake of argument, it's under 10. In fact, I would say it's under 5,000 for a watch. The ones, if you look at Audemars Piguet, Vacheron Constantin, and Patek Philippe, I think Patek Philippe Calatrava now start around 30,000. And they have one too. That's one of the things. They have one hand-wound watch, I think, that doesn't have the silicone hairspring. And it's one of their entry-level ones. And it's a hand-wound, one of the few that they have. But that's, it's the kind of thing that, you sort of try to figure out what the other guy is. If you watch a watch and you look at a watch and it's been a long time, it's been sitting there. I'm looking at one now. I'm sitting like a vulture on a limb, looking at this one watch and figuring, okay, I wonder what this guy's would take for that. It's a watch I'd really like to have, but sometimes you can't. Hi, KA, how you doing? Figure out the seller's motivation. The more motivated the seller, the higher the discount. Abdul, that's a very succinct way of putting it. Hey, Stephen. When buying pre-owned luxury watches, do you have to send them back to the maker for servicing, or do you use your own watchmaker? I don't know. That one I told you about that I spent a year negotiating with. Finally got it. I love it. It was a Parmigiani Colpa Grande. They call them Colpa Grande XL. It's a nice big blue one that I have. One day the stem just fell out. I mean, and it was ready for service. So I sent it into the Parmigiani Service Center. Now they charged me $1,000. I got to tell you though, they did a perfectly good job. The watch has been like new ever since I got it back, so I don't have a problem with that. Other watches that are really good watches, I don't want to send to anybody but the service people. I got a Cartier, Chanel Monsieur, and they sent it to some place in Switzerland to have it fixed, and then they brought it back here, and they have another group here that looks at it and makes sure it's okay. I mean, they really do a bang up job, and they charge me absolutely nothing for it. If I had anything go wrong with it again, I'd take it back to the same place. So, if you got a local watchmaker, it depends on the price of the watch. An expensive watch, I go back to the whatever service center they have. The reason I do that is for the parts, make sure they can get the parts. If I have a local watchmaker, my local watchmaker disappeared after the pandemic. He was amazing. He didn't even have a time grapher. The guy was 80, I think it was 84, 85 years old. And, like the pinball player in Tommy, he was a deaf, dumb blanket. He did it by the sense of touch and smell. So he'd fix a watch, it would stay fixed. But he usually only had access to certain kinds of parts, like anything coming from ETA. Those are the reason that watchmakers like those, is that they can get the parts more easily. Hi, Alex. Have you heard of Kue Kyoto? Maybe I have. All right. Are they the ones that they sort of had the part of the design done by Ahsoka, Jaime Ahsoka, and I don't know. Hi, Steve. What's up? Let's see. Have you seen the Grand Seiko? Oh, by the way, too, Seiko. Yeah, Seiko would be another great one. Grand Seiko, or even a regular Seiko. I think for a regular guy's collection, I think it'd be a very good choice. Of course, I would not include the spring drive because it's basically a quartz watch. I mean, a quartz regulator on it. Hey, Killer, how you doing? Curious to know your thoughts on Satori Ballard. I've heard. Ah, God, I tell you, I haven't really looked into them for a long time. I know the ones you're talking about, I think. Um, usually what I do on that Killer is simply not simply, but look at the movement, who made the movement, what they did with it, and so forth. Satori Ballard, though, I can't. Like I said, I had spent some time ago really trying to find out about him, but I can't tell you what it was. I'm sorry. Hey Ed, let me see. Under 6K quid, Trinity, I'm starting with Chopard or Hermes. Zenith, that would be a good one. Girard-Perregaux would be another good one. All of those are good examples, Ed. Andrew, Harboring 2. Of course, Harboring 2 would be perfect. What was that? How come I didn't think of them? They would be a great one for anybody's regular guy collection. Their movements come from Lejeune Pereire. Okay, G100. I think, boy, I'm not sure about Lejeune Pereire. You know their history, don't you? That they used to be Jacquet SA. And when Pierre Jacquet had to go to prison along with some idiots from, I think they had a guy from Miranda, and they may have had somebody from Ulysse also. There are these clowns that they were involved in a robbery of some gold Rolex cases, and I think Jacquet was going to make up a bunch of fake Rolexes. Really just dumb, and they all got in trouble, and so Lejeune Pereire came out of that, and I think wasn't Lejeune Pereire bought by the Japanese company Citizens Watches? I'm not positive, but I don't know. It's hard to know what to think of them. I do collect the old Jacquet SA 736s just because they're cool, but not because they're the be all and end all of movements. But they sort of have a history. Hi, Allie. How you doing? Hi, Bill. Hey, how you doing, man? Still making watches, I hope. Harboring 2 is a good call. Yeah, I agree. They were born GHT by Citizen. Yeah, I know they were bought by Citizen. Oh, I see. That was supposed to be bought. Yeah. Ulysse Nardin. Yeah. I tell you, there was one watch that Ulysse Nardin made called what was it? The Regatta. Oh, what a it! I don't know if that watch is any good at all, but they had such a neat video that went with it. I've always liked it. You talk about a bonehead way to make a decision. Hey, Carlos, how you doing? What are your opinion on the current Santos de Cartier? What's better, the large or medium? Well, it's hard for me to say. Um, I like the Santos. I do. Um, I'm trying to think. I'll tell you, the only Cartier that I would absolutely avoid at all costs is the Must de Cartier. Any of those were just junk. I think they were from sometime in the 70s. But I'd never get anything a must to anything by Cartier. The Santos, I think, is okay though. Regatta, yeah, is what I'm looking at. Oh, really? Yeah, there's only one on Chrono 24. The Regatta it won the prize for the best. I think it was a sports watch. Yeah, I think it won a sports watch award. But that is a not. I don't know. Like I said, if you haven't seen that video, it's worth seeing it. It's the best watch video I think it's ever been made. Love that thing. But if as soon as I get a yacht, I don't know. I'd be there. There's one Rolex I really like. Well, two Rolexes I really like, but one in particular I like the Yachtmaster 2 because it has the regatta countdown. And so if I ever got a yacht, that's what I would get, a racing yacht. That'd be fun to have. I found some that you can pick up. They're not yachts. They're more like glorified rowboats with a sail, like a dinghy with a sail. That'd be sort of fun, racing those things. That Fabe Luba was a great pick. Oh man, Bobby, I tell you that I can hardly wait till it comes here. I've already got a new band for it. Um, the band that's coming with it, I saw the band and it looked pretty bad. One thing that I don't know for sure, but I hope they have spring bars. I was going to put a new band on a watch the other day, and I found out that it didn't have a spring bar. The thing was, I'd have to cut it open and glue it back on to have it on there. I may have to do that with the Fave Luba. Um, that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be taking that apart, having fun with it. Ali, cleaning of a FL watch. Yeah. Yeah, the guy that sold it, I should say guys, because ended up getting two of them. The guy who sold it says something had been totally refurbished and I guess cleaned up and everything. One of the things that, especially some of these older watches, they have they get the hands are corroded, or sometimes it's part of the dial. That might be something I have to do too, is put in new hands and stuff. So I mean, and then plus with a dual barrel in parallel, am I going to have fun with that one? And then I can use they're regulated. I don't know how long it'll last before I break it, but boy, it'd be fun. Bill A, are you still around here, Bill? Yeah, Bill. Here's a guy who likes to make his own watches. He's a lot better than I am at it. If you can afford a yacht, check out the Marina Grand Deck. The Marine Grand Deck, is that the one by UN? I seen that one. That was the interesting thing about that watch. It was in a Grand Prix, also in a sports category. And the one that won was a really cool one, but it was like it had an ETA movement in it, and it was really inexpensive. And I talked to one of the judges in that, and he told me, he said, he looked at this watch. That thing was like $140,000 or something crazy like that. And he said, here's some guy, I think they're Eberhard or someone like that. They came along with, forgot what the watch was. This is back in 2017, and God, that's getting that's getting further away all the time. Anyway, I watch Mike do. How you doing? To know Gotham Avant-Garde looks cool. I don't know that watch. That sounds cool though. It's frying pan time, Abdul. Oh you are right. Okay, my time is up. Anyway, thanks for your idea. You guys had great ideas, I think. I thought you had much better ideas than I had. I don't know how I could possibly leave out Harboring 2 and Nomos. Those are great choices. Anyway, guys, have a great week ahead of you. And some of you I'll see tomorrow. And take care and be careful.